Waiver wire winners for fantasy football heading into week 10, starting off with Bo Nix, who's had 5 weeks of 18 plus fantasy points, 3 weeks of 23 plus fantasy points, and overall is a dual threat quarterback worth streaming. After missing 2 games, Quentin Johnston returned in week 9 to catch 4 passes for 118 receiving yards and a touchdown. 22 fantasy points marks the second time this season he's scored that. With Deontay Johnson gone, first-round rookie Xavier Legette is the wide receiver 1 in Carolina. He's had 13 targets the last 2 weeks, a touchdown in both of these games, which marks 4 this season, 13-plus fantasy points back-to-back games. Across Drake May's last full 3 games, he has scored 21.5, 20.84, and 17.74 fantasy points, another dual-threat quarterback streaming option. Across the last 2 weeks, Mike Gesicki has earned 14 targets. He's caught 12 of them for 73 and 100 receiving yard games. 2 touchdowns scored in week 9. He's balling out with no T. Higgins. 9, 6, and 8 targets the last 3 weeks for Hunter Henry. 4 weeks of double-digit scoring with 17.2 points in week 7 and then 12.6 in week 9. Khalil Herbert was just traded to the Cincinnati Bengals and might carve out a weekly role there with Zach Moss out. The Saints are banged up, which means more Taysom Hill being used as a unicorn, quote-unquote, tight end. 9 targets and 9 rushing attempts across the last 2 weeks. With DeAndre Hopkins now a Kansas City Chief, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine has been rising 4 straight games scoring a touchdown. 92% and 97% of the snaps played the last 2 weeks. 5 catches on 6 targets for 50 yards in week 9 shows a positive trend up. And then Noah Brown is the clear wide receiver 2 for the Commanders. 6 targets in both of his last 2 games with 73 and 60 receiving yard totals. A touchdown in week 8 from that Hail Mary, 16.3 and 11 fantasy points the last 2 weeks.